Hi guys, so I thought I'd start a new little project for myself. I bought a new display case recently, so I'm going to try, hopefully every week, but if not every 2 weeks, to add some more practice tips to it. So I just thought I'd share these with you, give you an idea for displays to do in your own salons and practice times and things like that. So I'm doing 5 tips today, and I've used the colour themes with CJP ballet slippers that I'm using here. Apple Shine and Buttermilk, sorry, I couldn't remember what the white one was called, Buttermilk. I'm also using one of the Glitter Fairies limited edition glitters from the Liz Guild collection, and this is called Tiffanys. And I'm starting off by doing an ombre using the Satin slippers and Buttermilk. I'm also using the Glitter Fairy gel stirrer and practice tips. And I've attached my practice tips to the gel stirrers with blue tack. For those international who don't know what blue tack is, blue tack is like a putty substance you find in stationers, so you'd often use it for like attaching like posters and things to walls. So if you use blue tack, it's not sticky, but it will stick the tip and the gel stirrer together. And I'm also using my Perfect Nails size 10 brush today. So I've done one with an ombre, and then the other one I'm using Apple Shine from the cuticle area and then pulling down, because I'm wanting to just use this as a colour. I'm just using a small amount, and then I'm using my clear acrylic to pick up some of that Tiffanys glitter, place it along that smile line and blend it up and down. Just give that a minute or two to set before I then cap the entire nail in crystal glass. So starting at the cuticle area, placing it down, and then patting and pulling down, making sure all the glitter goes nice and matte, so I know that it's been encapsulated properly. Adding a second bead if I need, and then blending up and then down. Doing as much as I can with my brush so that when I come to filing it's just refining it. Okay, so for the next one I'm doing a marble. So what I'm doing here is I'm working quite wet, so I'm wiping my brush back from my monomer, picking up a bead of white and then a bead of green, and then swirling together. And then the same, picking up some of that Buttermilk and then going into Satin slippers. No. So obviously I haven't wiped too much liquid out of my brush, and I'm just doing one quick pick up in the powder, so you can then go back into a different powder without having to get more liquid. And again, give that a little minute to set, and then I'm going to just cap that in crystal glass. Now, depending on how smooth your marble is, you don't always need to cap in clear, especially as these are all strength powders, but the reason I'm capping in clear is just to smooth out any lumps and bumps, and when I file it, it doesn't matter if I file into the colour and reveal some of the marble. And with this now I'm going to do another ombre, so I'm actually starting at the top this time and blending down with the Apple Shine. As you can see, I'm keeping it nice and thin. I just want a thin layer of colour. Then coming in with the Buttermilk and blending up and then down. And I just want a very delicate colour. This Buttermilk's lovely for that because it's a very light, delicate colour. And then using my wet brush to just pick up a little bit of that glitter and tap it in like an S swirl across the nail. Giving it a few seconds to set into place, and then capping the entire nail in crystal glass. So patting and pulling down, making sure all that glitter goes nice and matte. And then the next one I'm going to do, I'm doing just a full glitter nail. And obviously when working on clients, you'd have started, like I am here, with a nice thin clear base. Before putting any of your design work on, I'm just picking up a nice bead of a nice wet bead of clear acrylic, dabbing it into the glitter and then using the tip of my brush to push that glitter around. Now, a trick with encapsulating glitter is less is more, so a lot of people get a massive chunk of glitter and then struggle to push it around. I'd rather work in smaller beads, push it around and then add a little bit more, because then you're not wasting your glitter, you're just adding what you need. Okay, and when I'm happy with all of these, I filed them into shape, which I didn't record, and on the ombre now I brushed in some of the crystal chameleon pigment in Livia from the Glitter Fairy, which has a nice kind of yellowy, goldy, greeny shine to it. And now I'm going to come in with my buttermilk on the full glitter now, and I'm going to do some little flowers. Now, I could have used a brighter white, but I wanted to keep it quite a delicate, subtle set. So I'm just getting 3 beads, taking the liquid out of the back of the bead and then placing on the nail. Now, when you're working on tips, you often work a lot slower with a 3D acrylic because obviously the body heat from your client isn't there, so it may take a little longer to set. If you're wanting to speed up your acrylic, you can always place a tiny bit of acetone in the monomer, but then I always keep one monomer put aside for my 3D work. Then it won't contaminate your monomer you use for your actual structure work. So I'm just creating 3 nice petals there. And using the Glitter Fairy crystal wheel in Opal. And placing a bead on. Now, I put the wrong size crystal on at first, and it started sinking into the acrylic. So I fished it out and put a bigger one on. And again, I didn't edit that out because it's nice to share with you, that's the point of having practice tip playtime, as I put it in my diary every week, is that you're supposed to be playing and it's trial and error, and don't worry if you get it wrong and have to start again. And if you're halfway through your 3D and don't like it and you feel the need, you need to file it off and start again, then don't worry. That's the point of having a little playtime every week. And that's part of why I'm doing this little project, because I need to force myself a little more to have a couple of hours a week just playing with my products and getting ideas. And some people say, I can't afford to do that, I won't have a client in, but if you put aside that time to do new things and push yourself and try new things, it's new things to share with your clients, and it's new things to put on your Facebook page and share, and hopefully encourage more people to try you and come get the nails done by you. So it does, in the long run, pay off to sit and have a little play with your products every now and again. And you'd be surprised how quickly you'll learn a new skill if you force yourself to do it for 15 minutes every week. Something I always say when anyone does a one-stroke class with me, I'm like, right, now make sure every week you put aside a little time to practice one stroke, because it can be really tricky to get the hang of, but it's very easy to forget. So I'm now just placing that 3rd petal on, just to give a bit of flow and a bit of movement down that nail. And then I'm just using my CJP gripper glue and placing on some of the white opal crystals like I did in the centre. Sorry, I'm slightly out of shot there. I have recently rejigged my desk and my light rig and where my tripod is. So on the whole, I found it was better to keep in shot. So any comments or feedback about this video for filming wise would be great, because this is the first one I've done with the new camera setup. I'm then using the opal wheel, and I'm using a mix of the white opal, the Pacific opal and the grey opal in various different sizes, putting little dots of glue on the nail over that little S of glitter, and then adding the crystals on. Now, I did one size at a time. If it's easier to just pour some of these crystals in various sizes out onto a tray, and then you can randomly pick them up and work along the S, as I do often on my clients, but for this it was just as easy for me to go around that wheel. And as you can see in one section of this wheel, I have a mix of all the opals that I've kind of poured out onto a tray before and then popped back in that gap. So just randomly placing these down the nail, and these do match perfectly with this glitter. until I'm happy, just filling in any of the gaps with the slightly smaller crystals. And then if I was doing this on my ladies, sometimes I'd have done that on the buffed surface and then top coated up to but not over the crystals, because that can help them stick. But obviously these are just display tips, so I don't feel the need to then top coat around them again. Okay, and when you're happy with your design and happy with everything, you then need to figure out like how to attach it. Now if you're using photo frames, just leave the blue tack on the back and pop it on your photo frames. But for mine, I've got the felt pad, so I'm going to show you how I attach my practice tips inside. So just taking them all off their gel stirrers, and then I've got a pack of pins. These are just basic flat back pins from your local fabric shop, haberdashers. And then I'm going to use my 3D brush, and I'm going to get a small bead of clear acrylic. I started off way too dry, so I had to get rid of that one. Start again. A small bead of clear acrylic on the back of your practice tip, and then let it set a little bit, and then I'm going to come in with the flat back of the pin and press it in to that acrylic. Now this is the exciting bit. You hold it there until it sets. So sometimes you just want to push that acrylic around it a little bit, and then I literally just hold it maybe about a minute until it's not falling over, and there you go. Just be really careful if you're doing a load of these, and then once you're happy with them you can then pin them into your display case. So there you go. So this is my new display case I recently bought, and that's the start of my little project. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Any questions, comments, requests, just pop it below, and thanks for tuning in. Bye.